Future millionaires and billionaires, welcome to an episode of the Investor Chair. And today's episode, we're moving a little bit away from the typical investments I talk about. And we're talking about how to start an investment as a young professional who is not by profession a financial person. Do you understand? But most of the time we get people who are investment bankers, CAs, who are economists, talking about how to be in the financial space as a young professionals because they're well educated about it. Mm-hmm. And today I'm joined by the wonderful Candice. But you know me, I don't love introducing people. I'll allow her to introduce herself. But before that, do ensure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also tell me in the comment section what you think about today's episode, what you think about the views we shared, all the point to give you. And as always, guys, none of my video considers financial advice, but only for educational purposes. What are we listening? We're not wasting any time. Let's get into today's video. As in the beginning of the video, today's episode is about young professionals getting into the investment space, how they deal with their money, how they save, how they manage it. But that's a conversation most of the time we do not have. And also remember, today's video is proudly sponsored by Centric to ensure that you're able to invest your money in a way that you want to. If you want to learn more, guys, click on the link on the description, download the app and start investing the best ETFs in the JSE as well as global. Remember, they have all ETF that speaks to you as an ordinary South African. But now let's get into it. I finally met her. Oh, we have been talking online for years.
It's been a while.
Yeah, and finally we're meeting.
Like, look how Centric brings us together. Like, you're going to work, but you're going to meet.
You're going to meet.
Right?
Now, let's talk about who you are. Because I don't love explaining, I don't love introducing. I want people to introduce themselves the best way. They love to introduce. So, who's Candice?
Candice is a regular person who really is passionate about changing young children's lives through education. Yeah. In particular, the focus is on sexual and reproductive health, in particular on menstrual health. Yeah. My work has really just made me become this public figure that's affectionately known as the Minister of Menstruation. I'm a social entrepreneur, so I run my non-profit Curate for the past 4 years. We're almost going on 5, which is incredible. Also an author, academic. So I'm someone who just has a career that is multifaceted and dynamic, which I enjoy it because it's not like every day it's something new. You know, it's not always the same thing. It's not like, you know, going into an office job and expecting the same thing, which is no hate to people who work in the corporate job. If it's for you, it's for you. I tried it, it wasn't for me. And I think I just love how I get to interact with so many people on a day-to-day basis.
And I know many people right now, after you introduce yourself, like, how do you fit into finances? How do you fit into investing and all of those things? And I just want to give clarity to all of you guys, first of all. The purpose of today's conversation is to take ordinary South Africans that are doing wonderful things and let's talk about their financial life, because we always bring professionals, we always bring people who are experts in the field to tell their story, and we forget that their story is influenced by their qualification, by the level of knowledge they have. But let's get people doing wonders in different fields and let's talk about how are they managing their money, how are they dealing with it. And for you as a young professional, it's a conversation that many people can resonate to. So let me start about your upbringing. How does it influence the way you see money?
Wow, I feel like I'm in a therapy session, but this is just now on YouTube. Because these are one of the questions they ask you in therapy, right? And actually, no, this is also another question that a financial advisor asks you first before getting to know you. Like, what is the sort of upbringing you had? And by the way, I love this conversation purely because the aim is to be relatable, right? It's to ensure that young people, anyone actually, can be like, oh, I'm also in this field of activism or social entrepreneurship and I need to be aware of things. So shout out. But in terms of like my upbringing, I think I came from, so I'm first gen South African Malawian.
Okay.
So I came from a household where definitely upper middle class, and you know, I think what then happened is then my father then took the risk of wanting to be an entrepreneur. So I was able to, you know, get whatever I wanted when I asked for it, which was really cool because I'd be like, I want this new toy from McDonald's. Well, I want to go here. And I was like, sure, you know. I was living my best self life as a kid. And then obviously when he started to take that risk as an entrepreneur, I think then we started to see a little bit of more like less spending and more like being more frugal and watching like what we spend, where we're going out, etc. And I think that also did add a lot of pressure because at some point it was like, okay, things are starting to cost a little bit more and we have to sacrifice. So I was able to actually see sort of like the stress in the back end of being an entrepreneur versus like living in a 9-to-5, right? I think I saw my dad more when he was an entrepreneur versus when he was working his 9-to-5 because I barely saw him, which I'm grateful for both. But I think for me, what it made me realize is that finances can really carry the stability of a home. And I think most importantly, it's always important to have those conversations with your partner, with your children about what it is that you can and cannot do, so that you're not going overboard or you're not putting yourself in a situation that you actually couldn't afford that toy, or you couldn't afford that vacation. So that has definitely influenced my financial sort of spending to that I see today, although it's not perfect, and I think
nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
Literally, I was trying myself 2 weeks ago, like, I'm overspent. People were like, you're supposed to be financially.
I just, I'm always watching your content, I'm always in the spaces, I'm always listening to you guys saying, yo, invest here, and I'm like, yo, I don't know if I am doing the right things, right? But I think what is important is just being mindful, and I think you also have to be very accountable to yourself, and also recognizing that your upbringing can also impact the way you spend later on in your life, right? So if you come from a household where you wanted to escape, you'll constantly find yourself spending things on things that will help you escape, whether that's travel, whether that's drinking, whether that's buying experiences. But the question at the end of the day is how you are then going out of your way to save and also ensure that that money is making sense to you. I mean, a part of me always worries that like, or not even worries, but actually it is a worry. I always try and strive to be financially free, but I don't know what that looks like, but I think I'm starting to get to understand that being financially free means I'm in control of my money and my money's not in control of me.
So true.
And that has been so empowering.
So true.
And yeah, I think there's a lot of unlearning and relearning you have to do in that space.
And I think the other thing as well, that we take our upbringing as the holy grail of our financial lives. Okay, I didn't have this growing up, I want it now. As much as that is good, sometimes you're like, okay, I want it now, but let me delay it for a later stage where I'm more comfortable, where I know I have saved enough. Now getting into saving.
He's starting off with the therapy question. Now he's going straight into it.
Because the reason I'm putting this conversation is that for me, as much as in the beginning, I'm good in investments. I can put money, I can buy eccentric top, whatever it is in the JSE, and okay, it's there. I have an ETF, invested eccentric app, I'm okay. I have this invested there, I'm okay. But I know the money is not here with me. But saving, you see the money is there. The money is there. And young professionals all the time, I know we can't give financial advice here. I'm telling you about your story, about you as a one, how you, when you first said, okay, I'm earning my first salary, here's a check. When or how was the first time you realized, okay, I need to start saving now? And one of the best strategies you use, or the strategies you're struggling to use?
Look, I think, wow.
I'm throwing it in right now.
No, it's a lot. I think I started working for the UN when I was 21, right? And that was a really great job opportunity because at the UN you don't get paid the South African currency, you get paid in dollars, right? So it's incredible because every time that monthly check hits in, you're like, whoa, okay, I'm good, right?
It's in dollars.
But then at some point you're like, okay, now it's the 5th day or the 6th day of the month, and I'm like, wait, but I still need to have the money to sustain myself, to still get to work, to have food, to just take care of myself. And I think that's when I started to realize that outside of just constantly spending in to have those moments and experiences, I also had to save to ensure that, like, in the event that something happens, I'm okay, right? I only started to really properly save, I think, when I had left my master's and actually started setting up the career of being the Minister of Menstruation. So when I actually started getting like my first brand campaign,
Yeah.
And that was in like 2020, which I was very grateful for, because I think a lot of people were in a situation where they were trying to find work. But I was like, okay, I'm set for a year, and I'm not doing anything, and that forced me to stay because I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't go to a restaurant. I was at home, right? So what that made me do is that I started to actually look at different ways that you could save. And one thing about social entrepreneurs is that you could have a really good year where every month you're getting money, versus you could have a really bad year where you maybe only get money every 3 months or every 4 months. So you have to be very like mindful of how you spend your money, and you have to be very mindful of how you put away your money.
Yeah.
So for me, what I had established for myself is that I do spend a lot on terms of food, drinking coffee, spending time with friends.
And I know your love for coffee.
I do love coffee. I'm looking at the coffee machine right now, and I'm like, I need that coffee. But I think for me, what is important is to say that whilst I don't want to neglect myself from having those experiences, let me make sure that I'm setting up something that will help me for a rainy day. So what I do is that any sort of payment that I get that's over 3,000 Rand, I take 10% and I put it in my savings. And it's not savings that like, you go on your app and you see your savings pocket, because if I see it, then automatically I'm thinking I'm safe.
Yeah.
I'd rather put it away in maybe like some banking app that I rarely ever use, and I see it accumulate.
Oh, yes.
Deliberately, what I do is I also have a tax-free savings account. So that is a debit order.
Yeah.
Every month, no matter what, it will always deduct a certain amount, and that builds up. And I can choose whether I want to take it out once a year, or I can take it out the next year. I have like that once a year checkout, and that for me makes me feel like that's my spend like spoil myself money. So I often tend to check it out, or my annual takeout date is just before my birthday.
Yeah.
So if I feel good, you see what I'm saying? If I feel good, I had a good year, I feel like maybe take it out. If I'm like, actually no, let's let it build up, then I let it build up. So for me, what I learned is that I need to at least have 3 ways of saving. So tax-free saving, the savings pocket that is immediate for any rainy emergency day, and then obviously having like my sort of like saving for a sustainable future, being a shareholder, being a part of a company. And I invest into companies that I feel that speak to me as a person, that speak to the passion that I have as an individual. So is it about education? Is it about community upliftment? If yes, then I invest as much as I can. And I think it's just something where, for me, when I started to realize that my money is about what I can do with it and how I can control it, I felt a little bit more financially free, rather than just letting the debit orders do what they need to do.
And like, there's 3 things that I love with what you just said right now. Number 1, being a financial activist to eat your money. I remember when I also, like you, I became big in the financial space, especially in the financial content creating space during the COVID 2020. Everyone's like, I'm still at home, what can I do with my money? And then someone called Ivan was busy tweeting what you can do with your money. That's where, and I realized that time I was getting so much brand deals. I was like, I need to stop now and look at the brands I'm working with and look at how can those brands impact positively or negatively to the community. That's why I learned, okay, my money must be my work part of social activism. And I love that you bring it up, because the majority of young professionals don't take into account when you think about money like that.
We live in a consumer society where everything is fast, right? So you need to get the job, to get the kids, to get the house, to get the car. And we often don't be present with the decisions that we make, right? Even if we are a content creator or thought influencer or whatever space, I think we need to be in a position of where we can say no to something that doesn't speak to us, rather than just saying yes to it because we desperately need that money, right? And I think also your audience can engage and see that you're being your genuine, authentic self when you are with a brand that speaks to you, versus just doing it for the sake of doing it, right? And I think I'm in that space because of the work that I do, that I have the opportunity to say yes and no to a brand. I can say, no, this doesn't align to me because of who I am, or no, this doesn't align to me because of the work that I do. And even if I do have a very dry month, I'm always strict on that, to say I need to maintain that, to say I don't want to ever lose myself based on the fact that I want to be part of this fast consumerist society. I'd rather tap into my savings to survive the month than having to sacrifice a part of my soul to then just get some form of money. And I know it does. I'm not trying to say people should say no to everything, right? What I'm just trying to say is that let's be as authentic as we can possibly be. And being authentic means that you are sort of removing the expectations that society expects on you, and also removing the expectations that you've set on yourself, and you're being your true self. And that speaks through how you invest, it speaks to how you spend, it also speaks to the work that you do, the people you surround yourself with. And this is a money relationship thing, right? I mean, also at some point, if we're going to be having the conversation about money and njolo, at some point, like, you also have to be honest with your partner about how you spend and the things that you want in that relationship, because you can't just be like, expect that Gucci and Louis Vuitton all the time, but your partner's just starting up his own company. You know, you have to be honest not only with yourself, but honest with the people that you find yourself with, including your family.
Yes, but sometimes I'm at go to a family point right now, but before we get into that, I just want to also emphasize this point around speaking with money and speaking with your partner about the money and how you're investing it, where are you investing it, which companies are you buying into, and why are you doing it. But that also builds a level of your partner understanding you, because money at the end of the day is human interaction. It defines your character, it defines the way you want to express yourself. The second you go to a whatever shoe store and you buy an Adidas there, it's because you think that Adidas shoe fits your style. So it's an expression of who you are. So I love that point. And also another point that I love that you said was a tax-free savings account. Because young professionals, most of the time, they ignore it until now they're on their late 40s. They're like, okay, now I have a family, I have 3 kids now, I need to think about it. It's a hesitation as well. Because I had this conversation with someone, and they said, I'm thinking of opening a savings account because when I die, I don't want to leave my kids with nothing. I'm like, why are we investing for when we die?
Why don't you just invest now?
Why would we think of a tax and saving account for something when we are gone?
We often think about it as a consequence of, and not just doing it as in jail. Like, if you find yourself, even if you earn like 5,000 Rand a month, right? Like I said, it's that 10% principle, that 5% principle of it's going somewhere. And sometimes you can even split up that 10%, right? It can be 2%, 2%, 2% in different things. And you actually get that sort of satisfaction when you see your money grow. It's such an amazing feeling, because then you can feel like you're secure and you're safe. And honestly, I think what we often need to be having conversations about is, especially in the spending culture that we see ourselves in South Africa, like, if you don't necessarily need to find yourself at a club finding yourself in debt over bottles, let's not. I'm just saying, why are we finding ourselves in positions just to get that, like, it's not even 2 seconds, but it is, let's say 5 seconds of gratification. When someone goes on your Instagram story, it only lasts maybe for 10 seconds. When someone sees a tweet only lasts for 2 seconds. So why is it that we need to find ourselves in these moments of survival as a way to impress? Rather, let's try and find ourselves to thrive as a way to build our own lives and be happy and content with the lives that we're building. And I think when you do that positive shift, you'll find yourselves then financially spending better, right? And we can be honest, like, we always have our days where, emotionally we'll spend and we'll regret it, but at least you are more mindful in saying, the reason why I spent today was because I actually wanted to get those pair of shoes that I've been wanting for, and I can make it up, it's fine, it will happen, versus like, hey, I've spent 30K in a club and now I'm on Instagram.
That's so true. And that's so true. And you touch on the point of famine, right? You're one person that tours the country speaking about a lot of issues, including menstruation and a lot. And you interact with people, or mostly girls, that come from different families, different backgrounds, different environments. And there's one conversation that people don't love to bring it up because they just divide it, is it evil or bad? But I wanted to have just a normal conversation about it.
Of course.
Black tax. I don't care if you think of black tax as good or and that's the conversation of black tax and how it's understood. Because majority of young professionals, let's speak for myself. I'm the firstborn to seven. Am I correct? It's 2 sisters, 3 brothers, 4 brothers. Or 6.
6, yeah. I
was giving myself a bonus part. I'm the firstborn, right?
Yeah.
And right now, 2 months ago, my brother called me like, yo, but Ivy, not forget to buy me shoes for December. And the second I thought about that, my son was like, yo, I want a new phone, Poti. I saw this phone and a pep sale going for 2,000. Can you please buy it for me? So now I go back home to Pumalanga. I have responsibility.
Yeah.
And as much as you can run away from that, those are supposed to exist. And as a young professional and someone who also has said, you told the country, you hear different stories.
Yeah.
What's the one thing? Just, I don't want us to go deep into it. People get divided about this. What's the one thing that you've seen to work in terms of managing black tax?
Communicating openly about expectations.
Explain.
So openly saying what your current life situation is, and also saying where you want to work yourself towards.
Yeah.
And I think what that looks like is saying, Mom, Dad, or family, I have this job, this is my thing. Outside of this thing, I want to maybe get a new car. Yeah. But I'm still committed to helping you.
Yeah.
And I can only sort of give you this amount X every month, right? I've seen also, in particular, a lot of young girls often fall into the trap of being in relationships where the sole expectation of the relationship is financial provision. Yeah. And I think we need to relook what a provider looks like. It's not just financial, it should be emotional, it should be mental, it should be everything that you need in a relationship, right? And so what I'm seeing is often a lot of young girls in high school saying, oh, if he doesn't take me to this restaurant and get me this type of thing and this type of thing, like, the relationship's not worth it. And for me, that just shows that we are living in a very materialistic society, because these are, at the end of the day, are human beings. They have feelings attached to it. So outside of just family and intimate relationships, I think we have to communicate openly about what it is that we can provide outside of emotional, financial, and what like the sort of expectations are from your family as to what they want. It needs to be a conversation, and not just one-way conversation, not to say this is what we want. It needs to be a conversation between two parties to say this is what I can give you. And I think in the center of it, there also needs to be respect.
Oh, yes.
I do this thing where if my mom wants something, like she'll be like, send me airtime. I'll be like, what's the magic word? You know, because when we were younger, they'd always say, say please. So I'm like, I know that you're my mom, but like, say please, right? And I think that's also changed the narrative to understand that, like, at the end of the day, yes, this is my child, but she's also working hard towards her own life goal, her own future. So even if I need to ask for something, I should be generous enough in asking, please, can I have this? Please, can you assist? Please, can you? And that has opened up so many doors to different conversations that can be had. But communicate expectations.
Oh, that's so true. And I think that's where majority of black they get lost, because there's an expectation from the family, and you as a young professional, I need to fulfill that. You don't even negotiate those expectations. How can I take them from here, those expectations, to here? Okay, I'm here because I have my own goals also here. Let's balance the two.
They just see you as an ATM, and that's the problem, right? Because at the end of the day, you are a human being that has your own dreams, your own goals, and as parents, they need to see that at a certain point when you turn this age, yes, I, out of my goodwill, because of what you've done for me as a child, I will give something for you, or I will assist you in the way that I can. But make sure you see me as your child, and don't just see me as like just an amount that I can give you every month.
Because sometimes they do. They do. I remember I even retweeted this, because my friend, one of my closest friends from UWC, had a similar story. He's a 30th student. Does wonders. A student assistant on campus, worked for the main building, earns 50 rand per hour working at campus, was an extra month of lessons. And for the past 8 months was giving 1.2 every single month back home. Then there was a gala dinner happening on campus. It was like, for 2 months, I need to buy myself a suit. Yes. I need to look good for this gala dinner coming up. Can I please send you money? And the family was like, you don't give us enough, even this is not enough to help. We imagine what we... I'm like, when I saw the story, I got so furious, and I was like, bro, it's because as well, you have been willing to give or communicating what you're giving. Where does the money come from? Your family says you give them 1.2 every single month, but at the same time, on Instagram, me and you are at Camp Space. And we're posting a good life, but I forget that we're using vouchers to be Camp Space.
Exactly.
You understand? So your family thinks you're adding more, you don't communicate the conversation. You set your boundaries, you don't know them, so you think you can just walk over it.
That's
true. I love the point that you made. Communication must be key.
I agree.
to wrap up the conversation now,
Yeah.
let's touch on the last point, investing as a young professional. Because Centrix is all about, let's help young South African access the global market. Let's help young South African invest in the top 500 companies in the New York stock market. Let's help young South Africans invest into property, into bonds. Let's help South Africans understand which shares to buy, even if their own app. And I think that's the conversation that we need to touch on as well today. Is that as young professional, what's the first step in towards understanding investing, especially for a young professional who he just finished his graduating as well, became a teacher, so became a nurse. Didn't get that financial education. Luckily, I had that background in financial education. But what's the first thing as a young professional who doesn't have the experience must you consider before jumping into investment? Before buying that top, that S&P 500 from Centrix. Before anything, what's the first thing, what's the first conversation must you have from someone who's just outside of the field? Because sometimes you bring professionals, and professionals don't understand the average students doing education, doing BA, admin, whatever the case may be.
I think when I started looking at investing, I saw it as you know, these TV shows where these guys are stock exchanging, and people are getting shot and getting killed, and I was like, I was so intimidated. But what I think I learned is that any amount is a good amount to start investing with, right? And you shouldn't feel intimidated. You shouldn't feel like I need at least 50,000 rand to invest. Even like if you have 100 rand and you start your own portfolio and you split it up, or if you have a 500 rand, or you've saved enough to say, okay, I'm going to put 5,000 rand, but I'm going to look at different things. That is good enough, right? And the fact that you're making that decision and you've started that decision is good. And I think you should applaud yourself for taking that decision, because often a lot of people don't. We live in a society where people are just more about money received, money out. And what we need to start doing is money received, some money out, some money in to be more money back, you know? So it's about like really just expanding your resources and your opportunities for yourself, and see it that way rather than being intimidated by it. I had to completely change my mindset. I had to think of it in a positive light to see that there will be positive benefits outside of it. Because often I think what people look at it is it's the risk and the reward and the this and this and that. But I think if you like actually speak to your experts, right? And not in the way that's like intimidating to be like, oh, should I invest in this company or invest in that company? Because everyone has their own opinion. Oh, yes. That's what I've learned. Everyone has their own opinion. I was writing this morning on Twitter. Yeah, everyone has their own opinion. But I think it's a matter of like, choose why you're investing in this company. Like I said earlier, I invest in companies that are about education, community upliftment, right? I invest in companies also that I have worked with, that I know that have really good stakeholder relations, right? So I think I do my research outside of it to say, as a shareholder, or essentially you are a shareholder, like why would you want to be associated with this brand? You know, at the end of the day, you have the power, and see it that way. So I think really just start with changing your mindset towards it, and understand that like there are so many avenues that you can get information about it. But the first thing you shouldn't do is ask people where I should invest in it. Just rather go with what your heart is telling you, and go with what you feel like you'd be proud to be as a shareholder as.
Yeah, and that's so true. I love the point you just made. Because the first share I ever bought in my life was ShopRite. And the reason I bought ShopRite is because where I come from, everyone works for ShopRite.
Exactly.
Everyone shops for ShopRite. So I didn't even know who a CEO was. I was like, I saw ShopRite. The ShopRite right there. Yes. Why not? So I think that's the most genuine way to start investing. What feels natural, what feels familiar with you, what do you know, and how does it make you feel as well. I love it. I love the point that you made. Now to end the conversation off, I know you're an activist, I know you're a scholar, I know you're a content creator, I know guys follow her everywhere. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, she's everywhere by the way. What's the one you can expect from you in the next year, 2023? What's the one project that you're willing to share that you're saying people must expect from Candice, the Minister of Menstruation?
Sure. So plans for 2023. Look, I think I want to increase the access to menstrual education on a different platform that isn't just the workshops. So, we're working on projects that will look very child-friendly. That will be on different platforms. You can either watch it, you can either read it. That's what we're working on. And then we're also doing a national tour. So we want to go around South Africa doing menstruation workshops. And we just want to at least be in as many communities as we possibly can. Obviously, I need to be mindful of the energy that I have, and I have to be kind to myself during that. But those are essentially the two big goals for me. Outside of my PhD, I really
soon we're calling you Dr. Mr.
in 2023, 2024, it's coming, right? But yeah, I just want to be very dedicated into increasing the access to menstrual education next year, because I've realized that I've been in a specific market, which isn't bad, right? But I want to extend it. I want to learn more. I want to learn from people's experiences. I want to see, the period stigma and the period poverty outside of just Joburg and Gauteng and Swane. So yeah, we're going on a tour, baby.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And from my side, I just want to say thank you, number one, for the work you're doing. I started following you because I started seeing the tweets you're putting out there, the work that you're doing, which is amazing. It's rare to see the most of the time we see those educational content coming from Americans. Now to see someone localizing it in a way that's friendly for people online, even for me as a male. I remember one time you invited me to join into a space to talk about my experience with menstruation. I was like, I don't have menstruation. But I was like, okay, just talk about the people around me. How I see them when they're starving, my sisters, my girlfriend, anyone around me, and I love doing that. Number two, thank you so much for joining me today to share your story, because your money story is your life story.
Yes.
And I love that Century was able to put us together to say, let's just step outside of talking about drafts. Let's step outside of talking about which companies go. Let's talk about this genuine conversation of money that South Africans are feeling. And thank you so much for the invites. And for you, my beautiful subscribers, do ensure that you check Candice out on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. You even have your own website, right?
Yes, I have my own website.
It is
www.candiceChirwa.co.za. All the social media profiles will be there.
Thank you so much, guys. And remember, this episode was proudly sponsored by Centric. Do ensure to download their app. Do ensure to go to our website, check out the ETF they have, check out the products of investment that you can pick from. They even have a tax-free savings account, guys. As always, I've been a Spinner Sambo, your student investor. Thank you so much for watching.